All right, so we've got this pretty interesting piece about classifying customers in SAP SD,
Yeah.
and it's all about using it for analysis.
Mm.
And we're going to really dive into it.
Hmm.
Even if you know you're not dealing with SAP every day,
Exactly right.
we're going to see what we can learn here.
Yeah, the big idea is that you can group your customers based on things like, what industry they're in or how much revenue they bring in.
Okay.
It's not just about sticking labels on them.
Right.
It's about understanding them better so you can analyze your customer base better.
Gotcha.
And this piece we're looking at is a guide for people who use SAP SD.
Okay.
And specifically, it talks about something called transaction code XD02.
All right, XD02.
Got it.
So
Which is something you'd see in SAP.
let's get into the why here.
Sure.
I mean, the guide says the main reason to classify customers is for analysis.
Right.
But why is grouping data so important for analysis?
Right.
Why does that even matter?
Well, think about it this way. When you create different groups, you start to see trends and patterns that you wouldn't notice otherwise.
Okay.
So, for example, let's say you group customers by industry,
Okay.
like automotive versus technology.
Okay.
You might discover that your automotive customers take way longer to make a purchase, but then they end up spending more money on average.
Interesting.
And when you see those kinds of differences, you can come up with strategies that fit each group better.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So the piece actually gives us some specific examples of what they call branche, which is industry or sector, and chiffre d'affaires, which means revenue or turnover.
Yeah.
So you could group them based on if they're in retail or services,
Right.
or maybe categorize them by how much they spend each year.
Exactly.
Okay, so then how does this actually work in practice?
Well, it's actually pretty interesting. The guide lays out the steps within SAP.
Okay.
So first, you got to access the customer master data,
Okay.
which is where all the individual customer records live. And that's where that XD02 comes in.
Right. XD02, that's the gateway to all that.
Exactly. Then you go through authors functions, which means other functions.
Okay.
And then you find classification,
Got it.
straightforward enough.
So let's say I'm in SAP, I'm looking at a customer's record through XD02.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to classify them.
Right.
Are there any rules or things I need to know before I start?